You're watching KSL Sports Live.
The game of golf dates back to 15th century Scotland when King James II issued a decree banning the sport so Scots would spend time practicing their archery skills instead of working on their collective short game. In modern times, the sport has exploded across the globe with over 30,000 professionals competing in tours on nearly every continent. Along with many other games, golf came west with the early settlers of the Beehive State, and the first Utah State amateur tournament was held in 1899. The PGA Tour made their first stop in Utah in 1930 and came back every few years until 1963. After that year's Utah Open Invitational, the PGA Tour wouldn't come back for over 60 years. That all changed with the announcement in 2023 of the Black Desert Invitational. Scheduled for October 2024, Black Desert Resort in Ivins would host the return of the PGA Tour to Utah. It was the culmination of a vision. Patrick Manning took a line from Field of Dreams. He secured funding and started to build a top-tier course in the middle of the lava rock fields in Ivins.
You wouldn't think there would be the population to support all of those professional sports teams. The difference with Utah versus everywhere else I've ever been is the fierce loyalty that they have. If you bring it, we will come.
The course that Manning and his team constructed would be challenging. The fairways weren't necessarily narrow, but outside of Hawaii, it would be the only track on the PGA Tour to feature lava rock lining each hole. This presented difficulties for both the players in terms of their accuracy.
The way all the lava rock is, and it's not hazard, it's just kind of lost ball. It's not really like anything else. So it's kind of, some places you might go and it might be hazard, or you might go to Arizona and hit it in the desert and you can still find it and ship it out. And here, you're not going to find it most of the time, especially in the rock. So I think it's very unique, very different.
A little more risk on the front. The lava rock comes in a little tighter, and essentially I think a lot of guys are going to play the lava rock as out of bounds. Very few cases I think you'll be able to take it unplayable, or I don't think you'll be able to play it very, very often.
And for the PGA rules officials and the rulings they'd have to make throughout the week.
Tom Weiskopf was the lead architect here prior to his passing, and his finishing architect, Phil Smith, kind of described it really well as Kona meets Sedona. So you got the lava outcroppings, the lava flow. You also have the obviously beautiful desert landscape. Certainly a very unique course for what we see week in, week out. It's going to present a lot of challenges for the players. If you're not on grass, you're not in good shape.
One of the players that would arguably draw the most interest, St. George resident J. Don Blake. The Black Desert Championship represented his 500th start on the PGA Tour through a sponsor exemption he was given by Patrick Manning.
J. Don, could I get you to hold this for me?
Oh my goodness.
The certificate of exemption is provided to the recipient honoring their 500th start on the PGA Tour, hosted at the Black Desert Championship.
Thank you.
Patrick Manning.
So much.
The journey of thinking 500 PGA Tour starts, if you play 20 years, 25 tournaments a year, that's a pretty long career. So great accomplishment. I'm pretty proud of it. And the situation of the scenario of being born and raised in St. George and having the opportunity to get that milestone of 500th PGA Tour start is a dream kind of story. You can't make it up, can't script it.
Blake would make his 500th start on Thursday afternoon, but the tournament would get started hours earlier on Thursday morning with 132 golfers in the field, and the crowd didn't have to wait too long for some early fireworks.
And now Ben Coles, also at 17, 2 near aces. And he says, I've got the best of the day.
Ben Cole's ace on 17 was awesome, but it was Adam Svensson that gave the crowd the most consistent opening round. the Canadians shot an 11 under 60 on day one. No bogeys, 9 birdies, and an eagle on number 7.
That was great. Hit my irons extremely well. Had a lot of good looks, and I didn't feel like I putted that great, but they just kind of snuck in, and yeah, it was just one of those days.
The Utahns in the field represented well on day one. Both BYU graduate and local resident Mike Weir and Ogden native Zach Blair shot a 3 under 68, and Patrick Fishburne was even par. A pair of high schoolers were in the field. Lone Peak's Kihei Akina, who came into the clubhouse on Thursday at 2 under, and Corner Canyon's Bowen Moss shot a 2 over 73.
Definitely most nervous I've been, especially with the crowd, bigger crowds than I've ever had before. So yeah, definitely more nervous, but it was awesome.
Local players weren't the only Utah representation in the event. Thousands flocked to Black Desert Resort as volunteers to do all the jobs that made the event as successful as it was. They did everything from driving the players where they needed to go, to running concessions, to holding up the quiet signs next to the tee boxes and greens.
Volunteers were just so excited when they got here. I mean, they're excited to see the golf course, but they're extremely excited to be a part of the whole process, and not just the process, the kind of the aura that Black Desert has put out there.
Who doesn't want to be a part of this? This is amazing. Black Desert is awesome, you know. I mean, and I think that's what you probably got a lot with the volunteers and stuff. A couple things with the volunteers. One, you're pulling people that are top-notch. These are people that are service-oriented, and I mean, all the volunteers are so good, so they're so gracious. They're coming into like Volunteer Village, and sometimes they have to wait. They're uncertain on what they have to do, and they're here, and they're good, and they're great sports, and just kind to everybody that's in there, and that I've noticed. It's really good, and so that's been really fun. So the volunteers are just, they're the superstars. I mean, they have really, really knocked it out of the park.
And the volunteers, along with the fans, were all back at Black Desert Resort early Friday morning for round 2. While Svensson fell back to the mean, Stefan Jaeger shot to the top of the leaderboard.
Jump up to 15, Jaeger.
Right where we saw Berger, and he went with the bunker shot strategy, and it's in the hole, Steven Jaeger.
Jaeger's third at the 16th.
Just hold it from off the green on the 15th. Can he do it back to back?
You gotta be kidding me!
Yes, he can.
Jaeger posted an 8 under 63 after scoring birdie on 9 holes. As for the Utahns in the field, Zach Blair was the only one to make the cut at 5 under. Dustin Volk, Patrick Fishburne, Bowen Moss, Zach Jones, and Peter Quest and Mike Weir all fell short of the 500 mark needed to make the weekend. As for the 2 final players with Utah ties, a string of 4 birdies on the last 8 holes pushed high school senior Kihei Akina to 4 under overall, right at the projected cut line at the time he finished.
I made a pretty long par putt on 2. It was probably 10, 12 feet for par, and that was kind of the momentum switcher. Hit a good shot on 3, made the birdie putt there. Played 4 pretty good, made birdie on 5, 6 on 7, and then 8's a tough pin, so you almost have to just play for par there. And then 9, obviously was trying to get to 5, so I thought I needed a birdie, but I mean, I gave myself a look, so I'm happy about that.
However, after the final groups finished up on Saturday morning, Akina would miss the cut by just 1 stroke. As for Jadon Blake, surrounded by family and friends, he finished 8 over for the 2-day stretch, but was at peace after he finished Friday's round.
I thought I had a game preparation that I prepared a little bit better than what I actually performed, but I knew what probably was going to happen. The nerves, the jitters, the anxiety, and you know, all the stuff leading up to it made it hard. You know, I couldn't relax. I couldn't really feel like I could really be aggressive. I just felt so protective, and when you do that, you hit a lot of so-so shots, and just struggle with the golf. But you know, got a great support group. They've been out here cheering and screaming. Whatever score I made, they clapped. So you know, it was the roller coaster of emotions. You know, and a biggest one is the joy to be part of this and to make it my 500th right here in St. George. Can't be any better.
So you want to construct a golf course in the middle of the lava fields of Ivins, Utah? How do you build that while keeping the natural landscape in balance? Dr. Joe Platt has the answer.
Black Desert has, although they have 600 acres, they've set aside several hundred acres as a conservation area. So it's not developed. It'll be here for the public. We're creating a series of trails through that. They're rather primitive. People can get out and walk, and there'll be signage explaining what the lava is. So a big part of what we're doing is conservation and education.
Right.
And so that's my focus as the environmental director.
Well, I think that, as you say, this area, obviously it's right next to Snow Canyon, which is a beautiful area. The ground we're standing on is beautiful. I don't know about other golf courses, but this golf course, the preservation has just got to be so important to the natural habitat and just the natural landscape.
Yes, and what they was a commitment of Black Desert was to be light in their footprint. So they were very careful in only disturbing the lava that they needed to, and it was a really more precision than just bulldozers out here. And then one of the things that I like about it is that we've added these lakes that are here and the grass, and all that enhances the natural environment because we're using native plants when we're doing any planting, and so we've sort of enriched the lava by having this water. We have bobcats and coyotes and fox and all kinds of reptiles that are native here, and they're happily working with the water and the grass and everything to really succeed.
Speaking of success, Matt McCarty made his move on day 3 of competition at the Black Desert Championship.
Just graduated from the Corn Ferry Tour. Birdies on 4, 5, and 6, just short of the par 5 7th and 2. Hello, McCarty! The birdie to get to 14 under. Matt McCarty in a 5-hole stretch went 6 under par, including that birdie on the 8th. McCarty, 14th hole. This would be for eagle in the outright lead.
I think he's just fine with that, George.
Moving back towards the flag on the wind. Get in!
I'd say he can get back into his rhythm just fine, AO.
McCarty came into the clubhouse at 19 under after shooting a 64 on Saturday, giving him a 2-shot lead going into the final day of play. The golf course at Black Desert Resort is one of a kind, especially in its design. The late, great Tom Weiskopf planned out what is now Utah's PGA and LPGA Tour destination in his final course design before passing away from cancer. Even though the pros have their crack at the course each year, Weiskopf's widow, Lori, told us that Tom outlined this course with all golfers in mind.
Tom never looked at it as challenging professionals or challenging one set of people. You know, he designed golf courses for everybody. So I think as a player, as you know, someone with all that experience, he knows what he likes. Yeah. He knows what's fair. I don't think he's crazy. You know, wants a risk reward on every hole, but he's not a
lunatic.
No. And I hope that, you know, players, professionals appreciate that.
See, I can speak to that as an average golfer, right? I've actually had the opportunity to play this, and my friends have asked me, even today, walking around, people talk to me, I say, I played it, oh, what do you think? And I use that very same definition. I think for guys like me, obviously we're not going to play from the black tees or the back. We're going to move up, and it's going to be what I described as very fair. But it's not without the opportunity to make sure you think rather than just hit. Like I can recall being on on number 9. It's a par 5. I hit a nice drive. I get up there thinking, well, I always hit a 3-wood. It's a par 5. Well, little did I know that little curve with the lava rock out there. And so you've got, you can hit away, but you also have to think about it. Is that something that I think is like manifest in his work? You hit away, but think.
Every hole, honestly, like the risk reward, he would think about that on every hole that he did. Little par 3s, they're not little par 3s. I mean, I think his par 3s are challenging. So you may want to go for something, Patrick, but you know, you're thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll be a little bit smarter.
The second time I learned. First time.
You go for it.
I was out $3 from the lost ball.
Right.
Yeah. But the pros shined on Sunday, especially McCarty. In the final group, as the round 3 leader, McCarty went back and forth with Stefan Jaeger and Lucas Glover, but started to pull away with his tee shot on 14.
He likes to turn the ball over, suits the design nicely.
Turn.
And he's walking after it.
What a shot. The best we've seen all day.
He would go on to eagle that hole and birdie 16.
McCarty pours in another one. Meet the newest PGA Tour winner, Matt McCarty.
Claiming the inaugural Black Desert Championship, along with his title, McCarty also claimed the Black Desert Championship trophy, locally designed and manufactured by OC Tanner CEO Scott Sperry and his team.
Well, this trophy is made of aluminum. It's a hefty trophy, 20 pounds. It's 1.5 feet, 18 inches. You can see it's black for the black lava, obviously. And you see the tinge of red coloring. Again, the mountains, the red rock, the slot canyons here in southern Utah. You've got the handle that's symbolic of a bunker, sand trap. And Patrick Manning, the managing partner here, wanted a trophy that you could heft. The champion could heft with one hand. And then inside the trophy, you see those etched lines, dual meaning there, representation of the lava flow in this valley, and also the topography of this landscape at Black Desert.
I saw this guy, this golfer, FaceTiming, let's say it's his wife, I don't know, he's FaceTiming, and he's showing the mountains. He said, honey, I just landed on Mars. And I've heard that probably 5 or 6 times from players. Is this Mars? This inaugural Black Desert Championship, I'm not surprised that people are blown away about the broadcast on national television. The views here, you know, you're not hiding them. So I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised that the players are saying that this experience is unlike anywhere else they've ever been on the tour. What I am surprised at is we've never done this before. We've never hosted a PGA tournament, and operationally, we are dialed. Black Desert is Utah's resort. The Black Desert Championship is Utah's tournament.